So it's time for me to run an errand. And, you know, the other day when I left the video about my aunt, I was a little bit verklempt. I do want to say a lot of people were there for us when we adopted Monica. So Aunt Lucy and Uncle Alan were definitely there. But, you know, we had a lot of people with us. And I was so overcome, and I still can't get my head around the fact that she's not here. The only people I recall immediately were Lucia and Alan, but I can think of a lot of people: the Duncans, Martins, Spurlocks, Fours. Those are church people, and of course, family. My parents. My sister and her family drove up the day that we got back from Poland. My sister-in-law Kim and her family were there. They did have a lot going on, but they were there and welcomed Monica. The Sao Paulo mission team sent a lovely shower gift, and our church at the time, Memorial, gave us a wonderful shower, headed up by Alan Martin. Alan and Lucia, though, were, you know, we talked a lot about the old memories, and I recall the stories of her father, which made me laugh a lot. Sir Paulo, he is not a Danny DeVito type. He's more of his humor came across a little like Danny DeVito, but he definitely is not Danny DeVito. He had a shock of hair, and what I thought was fun, and only he could say this because of who he was and his personality, but sometimes he felt like if things weren't going the way he wanted them to go, he'd say, that person needs a tap on the head. Preciso dar tapa. And then, of course, I told some stories. I'll go ahead and retell them because I took the other video off. But I still think the funniest story was when he came over and Lucia said, "Dad, would you go clean this bric-a-brac or knick-knack or whatever shelf in the backyard?" And he came in screaming she said he was yelling for the alcohol and the disinfectant. "What have you done to me?" And she said, "What is it?" And of course, for those who didn't watch, it looked like a shelf with a hole in the middle of it. Well, it did have a hole in the middle of it. And so it was laying with the shelf part up. And Alan thought that my Aunt Lucia and Uncle Alan always repurpose things. They thought that they would put a mirror in the middle of the hole and turn it into a wonderful sort of knick-knack thing. Anyway, she said, "No, I don't know what it is." And he said, "It is a construction site portalid." So when you turned it over on the other side, there was like a platform, and then there was a hole cut out in the middle that you put over a big hole that you dug in the ground so that men could do their business. And like I said, one of my favorite stories was of her and Alan baking a pie and splitting it and just eating it all at one time. I can still see my Uncle Alan. They lived down the street from the second house that we lived in. We had those blow-up pools. It was a 3-ring pool. It was tiny. Only 2 or 3 little kids could fit in that pool at a time. Little kids. So of course, if you were a teen or older, you were the only one who could fit in the pool. But he would sit in the pool, and his arms would hang out, and his legs would hang out. He was 6'4". Loved to get a tan. We loved to go to the beach with Alan and Lucia. And after I made the last video, I remembered one of her sisters owned a condo. I never forget which beach it was, but I'll go ahead and tag my cousins and see if they'll remember. What I recall was walking into a living room. The kitchen was at the back, and off to the left was a bathroom and 2 bedrooms. All of us kids, the 5 of us, slept out in the hallway. We would go lay out during the day, play beach tennis, which was a big favorite, with the the big flat paddles with the holes in the middle. And trying to think, it's like I think a volleyball net. No, we didn't have nets. That was one without the net. That was badminton that we would do, kind of like a volleyball net. But I think we had badminton, we did the beach volleyball, the soccer, sand castles definitely, and Uncle Alan was very gifted at building castles. So the story, I had never sleptwalked in my life, never before or since, but you know how they have in the movies that the people whose hands are out like this when they walk? Well, that's what I did. And now I understand why, because I was cognizant enough in my sleep to know that I might bump into something, and I was trying to not bump into anything. So I walked around like that. Went to my parents' bedroom. Sometimes I'd go crawl in bed with them for either after I had a nightmare or especially if it thundered, and then I got old enough to where to me the thunder and lightning are absolutely comforting, which is so funny. I loved it. In fact, after a thunderstorm, a lot of times people will say, "Did you hear all the thunder and lightning?" I'll say no. But anyway, I don't know if it was thundering. I don't know what was going on. I was going to go into their room, and I decided to go back and go into the bedroom. And I recall we all went out and got Italian ice cream afterwards. That was a treat that we all loved. I think my flavor that day was pistachio. My mother loved butter pecan, and we tried all different kinds. It's interesting, when I was over at their house for the memorial service at my cousin's house, my uncle still had the dining set that they had in Brazil, which was covered with, the table was round, covered in leather. The seats are covered in leather. A very, the smooth side of the leather where it's stamped, beautifully stamped. I pulled one of the chairs out to sit down in and smelled it to see if it still had that smell, the cured leather smell. But one thing my Aunt Lucia wanted to said as she got older, she said, "I want to make sure that everything coming out of my mouth is very positive." And I was really taken by that. I do agree with that. I think the only thing worth talking about are the positive stories. She did share some things privately that I didn't know, and so it made her positivity even more positive to me. But she would say, she reminded me of Aunt Bula and was it my big fat Greek wedding? I think it was the second one. My daughter loves to imitate her when she says "shave everything." was very encouraging, and she would find the good in any situation, and the good in your situation. And Monica loved her a lot. They hit it off. They were kind of like birds of a feather. Oops. I recall them coming to our house and spending the night a few times, and making great memories, going out and having dinner together. And I'm sorry, I'm having to watch the road a little bit. She and my mother were in Mary Kay together, and as I said, they were like Lucy and Ethel. And they were really cute back in the 80s. When they had their hair done, it would be done in this, the really big hair that it looks like you got a perm, but it's just really big. Well, that was how they would do their hair, which was really cute. I think that they had a picture of her at the memorial with a hairdo. And so she and my mother, I almost wondered how they fit in the car with that big hair. But they did very well together, Mary Kay. I probably wrote this, but I think one of my favorite memories was flying to the U.S. on this airplane where seats were facing each other, and my little legs were dangling, and we were telling stories. She was just telling one story after another. When I heard that her and Alan's Uncle Norman, who we stayed with Norman and Lurleen a lot, my father's uncle, very wonderful people from Abilene. Just great food, fun, just lots of laughter. I thought it was hilarious that she and Norman would stay up late talking till 2 in the morning. And one of the funniest stories my mother told on her was when she was very modest, and I can certainly relate. I remember my first female exam, how old I was. I felt like, gosh, why didn't I get a woman? But anyway, the doctor I had did the same thing that the doctor she went to Dr. Willingham, and she said, don't look. And he said, I won't look. So he told my mom I did her exam without looking. But I remember after my first exam, my doctor said, you're very healthy. He didn't look. He looked, but he didn't look. Anyway, I got really tickled at her. She had the funniest laugh. I can't imitate people's laughs. Only they can laugh. And anyway, I hope that these are good reminders to my cousins, my Uncle Alan, Stephanie, and Jennifer. I know that there are a lot more stories. We would sing together if we traveled in the car together. In Brazil, we had a combi, excuse me. So we would sing. And Mom and Dad always sang. Mom sang until she lost her voice about 25 years ago. Gorgeous voice. And so they would sing in the car. And like I said, my Uncle Alan sang, I think it was I Pledge My Love, which was just, I had never heard of somebody singing to their future spouse at a wedding. I just thought that was so it was just precious. I'm sorry, I'm having to watch the road, and it's like a group of Rotsies. They're pretty impressive over there. Thank you for hearing my stories dedicated to my Aunt Lucy. I hope that you've been blessed. And the final thing I do want to say is, you know, she really loved God a lot. She did. And she did love to talk to him, talk about him. She loved to share things on Facebook. It might have not been everybody's thing, or it might have made some people uncomfortable, but she truly felt that love and attributed it to God. So that's what I want to say about my Aunt Lucia. So thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.